I want to ask a rhetorical question. How many have you gone to a meeting, gone to a networking event, have a one-to-one meeting, and said, oh my God, this was great. I made so many contacts. And then afterwards you realize you haven't gotten any business out of it. Right? It happened to everybody. What happens to everybody? And I'm here to tell you, it's not what you have to sell, services, product, anything else, but it's the way that you're doing it. And that's what's holding you back. Right? So the first thing is that you are a problem solver. You have to find out what their problem is because you have to have an answer. Is that the end of it? No. That's not the end of it. Because you have to figure out where they're going to next. That's when you're going to beat out all the competition. It's incredible. But you're saying, why does everybody network? Network, I believe, is the lifeblood of all business. Without networking, you're not going to get anywhere. Right? So that's your ultimate goal. Now, look on the screens, because these are the points that I want to drive home for you today. Now, first off, take every opportunity to meet new people. And you have to focus on the areas that you can help. You have to go alone to networking events. That's for extroverts. If you're introverts, there's a slight twist to it, but I'll go into that afterwards. And of course, don't forget business cards. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a networking event and they say, I'm sorry, I don't have my business cards. Can I write your number down or something? You did, but you're going to lose them, without a doubt. Now here's the most important thing about networking. The most important. If you remember anything, remember this. It's the follow-up. Not only follow up, but follow up correctly. Right? Because there is a way. After a networking event, I've done this many times, I've gone to somebody else, I want to see them walk around, say, oh, tell me about what you do, oh, that's great. How do you follow up with them? Oh, I'm going to send them an email tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to follow up next week just to make sure I got them. That's all okay. And in my brain, I'm going, you lost. Because I'll get to them before you. There is a way to follow up. And that is the most important thing that you can do. Now, here's the funny line. People hate to be sold to. They hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. What does that tell you as an individual? That means, okay, so you want what I have to sell. My service, my product, whatever, okay? But you don't want to hear from me that I'm going to sell to you, because that's a problem, right? So that's a big problem. Here, confidence. Confidence is so, how many times have you walked up to somebody and they're looking all over? They're not looking at you in the eyes, right? They're like standing halfway and they're not squared up to you, and everything. You don't even want to see them. You don't want to speak to them. You want to move on to the next person. Square your body. A friendly facial expression. Now, for some of you, that may be difficult, but a friendly facial expression. Hands in plain sight. So, I love this, the Roof Max commercials, right? Have you ever seen Roof Max commercials? Watch them. I want you to watch the person who's talking. He takes his hands and puts them down here, because as he's talking, because he's not to his hands, right? It's called the middle steeple. Everybody see that? Don't do it. Don't do it. It's the worst thing. Listen, I come from a Jewish background. My wife's Italian, and the hands are always going. We talk with our hands. Don't stop. Don't, when you walk up to somebody and you meet somebody, like, hi, how are you? No, be yourself. And most importantly, I have a few clients that have a dialect. You have to enunciate. Because if they can't understand what you're saying, then you're lost right out of the gate. So, what do you do when you walk up to somebody and you want to meet them, whatever. First things first, you're going to listen. You're going to listen to them. This doesn't mean that you're going to look at somebody just walk by that you really want them to talk to, and your eyes are following them. Eye contact. Right? So you're going to listen to them. And after they finish, this is the most important part about listening. Pausing. You're going to pause, and then you're going to say something back to what they said. Because what does that tell them? It tells them that you were listening to them. And that is the most important thing. You want to make sure that you were listening to them. All right. So now, what do you do when you are at a networking event? You walk in. Now, first of all, when you're at a networking event, they always have pieces of paper about booths and things like that. Always have a little bit of a plan where you want to go. But before then, you always have a mass of people. You're like, okay, what do? You pick a table. You walk up to the table. Don't talk. Don't say anything. Listen. Listen for the conversation to come around to you. Is this a conversation that I want to be a part of? It's not. I haven't said anything yet. I politely bow out. I go to the next table. I go up and I listen. Okay, this conversation is something that I want to respond with. When the conversation comes around to me, I say something intelligent, right? Because I'm supposed to be the expert in my field. So whatever I say, better be intelligent. You're waiting to see who responds, right? Okay, 5 people at the table, 2 people responded. Okay, those people asked me a question. Okay, that means hook. I got them. Don't say that, of course, but okay, so you got them. So now, okay, you're having them talk. And you have them talk, you're talking to them, but they're asking them questions. And I use something called form. I'll go into that later on. Family, occupation, recreation, and a message. And I'll go into that a little bit further. But you're going to talk with them. You're going to have them talk about themselves, ask about their family, about mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter. Okay, youth sports. I was a baseball coach for 16 years. I'll talk about anybody with youth sports, right? I get to them on that level, and all of a sudden, know you, like you, trust you, they'll do business with you. If they know you, well, I now know all of you, that's great. They like you, I'm sure that everybody in this room isn't going to like me, but that's why I'll have to live with that. Know you, like you. But here's the big fact, trust. Nobody will do business with you unless they trust you. And that trust, I can do a whole hour just on trust. The trust factor is so important that because what you're doing is there's a wall between you and the person, and you're trying to tear down that wall, but you're trying to build up that trust factor. Right? Yes?
Sorry, I thought you were going to go to the next slide, and I had a question on
Sure.
this. Can I ask a question? So when you said walk up to the tables, right, quietly observe, right? If you walked away, does that make a connection with that conversation, like you said?
You're first finding out whether or not the conversation is for you. If it's for you, then you have that connection. If there's not, then just walk away.
So the question is, when you walk away, are you giving the impression of disrespect? That
No, you haven't said anything yet.
That's
You haven't
what I
said
was
anything, you've walked up?
When you walk up to the table, you're asking a question. I would always go up to somebody, probably with CES, for example, and I'd walk up to the table with a bunch of men, and I'd say something like, how did you think about the football game last night?
You always find that common ground, right? That's what you're looking for. You're looking for a common ground. And when you find it, that's wonderful. If not, then again, you move on. But it's really a pretty simple process. Okay, form, family, occupation, recreation, and a message. Like I said, husband, wife, sister, brother, son, daughter, whatever. Get them on that whatever. You can just find out about their occupation. Oh, they're a doctor? What kind of doctor? Okay, are they other in sports? Oh, okay, they're a musician, whatever. You talk to them on that level, and you'll see they will stay there and talk about it. Why? Why? Because people love to talk about themselves. They will talk to you for an hour as long as you are seen interested. So you're going to keep that talking. And they're going to talk and talk, and finally, it's going to come around to what they do for a living. And they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you again. And you're going to sit there and you're going to listen. You're going to repeat back and you're going to pause. And then you come out with a line. You say, you know what? I like you. I like the way you do business and how you're doing it. How can I make you more successful? How can I be a good referral source for you? This is what's called having a servant's heart. When you walk into a networking event, you look to give, not to receive. And as long as you look to give, that takes all the pressure off your shoulders. All of a sudden, you're not nervous anymore. All of a sudden, you're looking to help somebody. So it goes a long way. Okay. You have to build a rapport with the person. Right? Build a rapport. What do you have in common? You have to ask questions. Questions are a great way of trying to build rapport because you're asking questions about them. When you walk into an office, if you have a one-to-one meeting, right, you have anywhere between 5 seconds and almost a minute to look on the walls, look on the desk, right? Is there music on the walls? Is there art? Is there some sort of sports paraphernalia? I want you to look at the pictures that he has on the desk. Are the pictures on the rear desk facing out? Or are they on his desk facing in? And you say, what's the difference? Big difference. The ones on the rear, in the rear, facing out, they almost want you to ask about them. Ask about those pictures. And if the pictures are on the front desk towards him or her, off limits. They don't want to talk about it. So those little nuances, little things that you can do, that you can pick up on, that can go a long way. Here's the mantra. Know you, like you, trust you. They want to do business with you. You're not going to get to that last part unless you have the first three. Because if the person doesn't know you, they're not going to do business with you. I'm talking about something that's not online.
Well, sorry to interject, but I think this relates even to Zoom calls.
Absolutely.
Because we often have the virtual backgrounds.
Yes.
And I regularly use that, and I've noticed that if I don't start the conversation about that, it can be awkward on the call.
You have to remember with a Zoom call, a very good question. Zoom call, there's a person on the other side of that camera. Everybody thinks it's Zoom, but they don't have to worry about it. Everybody knows about the person who's half dressed and in her underwear. Okay? Barring that, you can just get to know the person behind the camera. And that means, now, like I said, I do a lot of podcasting. And I always try to get to know the person before the podcast because that will give me other questions. Now, introvert versus extrovert. I've told you so far, you walk up to the table, you wait for the conversation, you listen for it, and hopefully when the conversation comes around to you, you're going to say something intelligent. Okay, that's great. All for extroverts. What about an introvert? Because an introvert, when you walk into that networking event, it's like hitting a wall. Oh my God, there's so many people here. And then all of a sudden, what do? They grab a trash bag and put on the wall. I call it the wall of death. Okay, so with an introvert, you still go to these networking events. By the way, I say go to a networking event at least once per week. Okay, so you're going to walk in with somebody that you know. Not necessarily somebody you work with, but somebody that you know, knows you, knows all about you and what you do. Because when you walk up to that table and you finally say, okay, you know something? That conversation is something that I want to be a part of. That person say, oh, you know something? Michael knows all about that. Michael, why don't you share that with us? So that's a little introduction. So now all of a sudden, you're not feeling so away. Now, I'm not saying that if you're introverted, you're going to do this, the first networking event, and all of a sudden, it's going to work. And you're never going to, you're an extrovert. No. The first time you go to a networking meeting, by the way, you're going to suck. It's horrible. Right? But you learn from it. Go to the second meeting, you're going to suck, but you're going to suck less. Go to the third meeting, you're going to still suck, but suck even less. Okay, but by the fifth time, the sixth time, you go to a networking meeting, all of a sudden you realize you're going to enjoy it. Wow, I'm meeting all these people. I'm learning about all these businesses. This is great. So that's the main difference. So now, what do? Follow up, follow up, follow up. Okay. Follow up immediately. I have a secret sauce when it comes to follow up. And by the way, it's 98%. It works. Now, I'll go into that later on. You take notes on the back of a business card. Those business cards aren't there just for you to hand out. When you, after you say that to the person, I want to make you more successful, and yada, 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 you turn that business card over. You write down the date, the name of the function, and something you spoke about. Because that will come in handy when you follow up and you put it into your CRM and so on and so forth. I want you to connect with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. When I say connect, just look them up, reach out, and connect. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to connect with them and turn around and try to sell them. You have to create value. That value is so important. And here we come to it, the thank you card, the handwritten thank you card. That's right, it's a handwritten thank you card. And I'll go over when and where to write that. But that is so important. Can you imagine being the person that receives a thank you card? All of a sudden, it's not an invoice, it's not some hokey ad, it's not anything, but it's somebody reaching out to you and saying, thank you for your time. It goes such a long way, and you stay top of mind. So now,
can I say something about the business cards real quick?
Sure.
So there are a lot of people that laminate the business cards. And when you try to write on them, it's almost impossible.
yep, that's why you have a phone.
Yeah. Okay. I always lose it.
Well, if you have to, then take notes into the phone. Right after the conversation, you go to your note taking and you just write notes there. But it's very important. Okay, so now what's the secret sauce? What's the follow-up system that I follow? After the networking event, you're going to go home or back to the office, whatever the case may be, and you're going to immediately send a thank you email. Thank you for your time. Don, it was great meeting with you. Thank you for your time. I hope to do business with you soon. Michael. That's it. Easy peasy. The next morning, the very next morning, you write that handwritten thank you. You write almost the same thing. Hey Don, this is Michael. I met you on such and such date at the event. We spoke about X, Y, Z. Remember me? I want to thank you for your time. Have a great time. Have a great day. Michael. You're going to wait about 3 or 4 days because the mail is slow. Snail mail, right? You're going to wait. Now, if they haven't sent you an email back yet, which is 50-50, you're going to send them an email. Hey Don, this is Mike. I met you on such day at such an event. We spoke about X, Y, Z. Notice I say that at the beginning of every correspondence. I'm going to do that in every correspondence until he answers me. Hey, I was just looking at my calendar, and I see Tuesday and Wednesday of next week are pretty well open. Would one of those days work best for you? Okay, I waited another 3 days. 3 days. This is a magic number, by the way. 3 days. Still haven't returned that email yet. Hey Don, this is Michael. I met you on such and such date, such an event. We spoke about X, Y, Z. Listen, I said Tuesday and Wednesday of next week were open. Tuesday's kind of full. How's Wednesday? Wait another 3 days because he's a horrible person. He hasn't answered me yet. Okay? So, last time. Hey Don, this is Mike. I met you on such date, such an event. We spoke about X, Y, Z. I said Tuesday and Wednesday were kind of full. They seem to be filling up rather quickly. How's the following week, or what is good for you? And just leave it there. So if he hasn't answered me by this time, he probably is. Okay, it means that I did something somewhere, or he just doesn't want to talk to me. Okay, do I take all that stuff and throw it away? No, I have a CRM. Everybody here have the CRM or know what it is? Customer relationship management tool? Okay. Take all of it, put it in there, every touch point that you had. By the way, it takes between 8 and 15 touch points before somebody would buy from you. So you have to reach out and touch them at least 8 times before they even think about how to be talking to you. Okay. So, now, expand the business a little bit. LinkedIn, I always put for business. I have X amount of thousands of contacts. Business is business. That's where I do all my advertising and everything else. The Instagram is more for reels, more for those short, quick, little advertisement reels. 15 seconds. 15, 20 seconds. I use a certain program for my podcast. I split it into pieces, and I post it on Instagram, just so they can see it. And of course, I do a full video on YouTube. Now, I did a little investigative work. Where is the best place where your advertising dollar really works? What is most commonly used? What is the biggest platform that you can think of that somebody would see what you're selling? It wasn't what I was thinking of. I had to change my whole philosophy, by the way.
Email.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. YouTube. YouTube is number one. It's number one. And Instagram is like halfway down. But Instagram wasn't the second one. Facebook. I always said that Facebook
It's on Facebook.
was for family. Was to reach out and touch somebody. No advertising. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram is the third one down, and then all the TikTok and everything else is down there below. Now, TikTok might be on the rise, but it's not there yet. So regardless of what people are saying to you, I'm telling you, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Now, if you want to network, go to Meetup Gatherings, meetup.com, right? You can find different little things. You just go out there and network. You want to get your look, what you're wearing. You want to get your face out there. You want people to say, when you walk into a room, oh, I know that person. I don't know what they do, but I know that person. Not bad. Okay. So, networking is a skill and a talent. A skill and talent. So what does that mean? Practice, practice. You're going to suck the first time, the second time, the third time. But you're practicing. That's what goes on. Now you're focusing on relationships. I used the pandemic as a line in the sand. Pre-pandemic, it was basically transactional. Your networking was transactional. Post-pandemic, it's relational. I used to be in a mortgage company, Let's go to a networking event. Let's come home with a shoebox filled with business cards. Look how good I did. No, I did horrible. Why? Because I couldn't remember anybody. Now, when I go to a 3 or 4 hour event, I come back with about 15 business cards. Because all of them I'll be able to follow up properly. And that is so important. So keep in touch with them. Remember to write, guess what? The handwritten thank you notes. All of my students that I coach, I have them write a handwritten thank you note and send it to me. In my briefcase, I have thank you notes. I have 50 thank you notes. You can have the old ones that are just, you can just buy, but I have mine printed. My logo, they're nice and everything else. One step above. You don't have to do that. Right? But that's what you do. Now, I'm going to tell you a few things. You want to get your brand out there. You want to get your name out there. AI is a buzzword. Everybody's using AI. It's, oh my God, it's going to replace all these jobs and everything else. Wrong. AI will not replace certain jobs. But if you use AI as a tool, that will take you boundless places. Now, how else can you network out there? You write articles. I write articles twice a week for a magazine, all about networking and things like that. Podcasting. It's a great way to get your word out there, but what are you doing? You're getting other people to come on, talk about them, and you interject what you want to say about networking. And digital courses. I have to be good enough. On my website, you can see I have about 8 digital courses. It took me a long time to do, but it has everything from sales to networking and so on and so forth. You can do that. If you have a website, there's another website you do to create the courses, and then what you do is you sell them on your site or other places. If you want to get the word out, create a digital course. I don't care if it's a little course. You sell it for $7, sell it for $5. Doesn't make a difference. But you're doing it and you're getting your name out there. Okay, so right back, we'll circle back to the beginning. Take every opportunity to meet new people. Where do you meet new people? Kohl's? The supermarket? Are you networking? Yeah, you are. How many times have you been in line and you've heard the conversation behind you and you're like, I really know about that subject. I really want to turn around and say it. Say it 2 seconds and turn back. Okay? If they are interested, they'll say, what do you mean by that? Okay, how about if you focus on how you can help somebody? Servant's heart. Having a servant's heart. How can you help? You're going alone, except for an introvert. Don't forget your business cards, and you have to follow up properly. Let me tell you now, if you don't follow up properly, you might as well not even have gone to the event in the first place. So I follow up. No, following up is one thing. Following up correctly is different. And remember, people hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. So no matter what you're selling, no matter what service you have, they want to buy from you. But if you're going there to try to sell them, you lost. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you're interested in my digital courses, being coached, or having me come and talk to your company, just go to Michael and fill out the request form. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, or my website, forman.com/podcasts.